My wife cheated with her boss and secretly liquidated our $500, $0 house, claiming it was for family emergencies. But she transferred everything into her name. Now she's refusing to split the money after I found out she's been having an affair with the landscaper for the past year. I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing this kind of story about my marriage, but here I am. It all started with a gut feeling I couldn't shake, like a tiny voice in the back of my head telling me something was wrong. I'd always known my wife, Lisa, was a little high maintenance, a little bitchy when she didn't get her way, but I never thought she'd actually cheat on me. We'd been together for 10 years, built a life, bought a house, had plans to retire early. But in the last 6 months, things started feeling off. She became more distant, more secretive. She'd leave her phone on silent, hide her texts, and brush off my questions with a sharp attitude. I chalked it up to stress at work or her period. Women are complicated, right? I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Then last month I noticed she was spending a lot of time on her laptop late at night. I'd come home from work and she'd be glued to her screen typing away. I didn't think much of it at first, but then I started noticing little things. Her phone kept getting more locked up. She started canceling plans with friends, and she was super defensive when I asked about her whereabouts. One night, I saw her slip her phone into her purse and hide it when I came into the room. That was the final straw. I decided to check her messages. I found her talking to someone named Mark, her boss, I later learned. The conversations weren't just work-related. There were flirty texts, late-night calls, and a lot of talk about how they're perfect for each other. She was clearly hiding something, and I knew it wasn't just work stress. When I confronted her, she lied right to my face, told me I was paranoid, that I was imagining things. But I had the screenshots, the timestamps, everything. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. What made it worse was discovering the house. Our house. The one we poured blood, sweat, and savings into was no longer ours. I found out she had secretly liquidated it, moved the money into her name. Over $500, $0 just gone. She claimed it was for family emergencies, but I looked into it and found out she transferred every penny into her personal account. She insisted she needed it for some urgent medical bills. Yeah, right. She's always been good at lying, and now she was lying to my face about everything. The house, the money, her affair, everything was falling apart, and I felt like I was drowning. I couldn't believe she'd do this to me. Not just cheat, but steal from us, lie, manipulate. I was furious. I wanted to confront her, but I also wanted to understand how she could do this, how she could betray me so completely. The betrayal cut deep, but what hurt even more was realizing I had trusted her all these years, and she'd been planning her escape the entire time. I started thinking about what to do next. How do you even rebuild after something like this? How do you move on from someone who's not just emotionally cheating, but also stealing your future? That's where I'm at now, trying to piece everything together, trying to figure out if I even have a future with her, or if I should just cut my losses and start over. After I found out about the affair and the house, everything changed. I mean, I always knew Lisa could be a bitch when she wanted to be, but this was next level. It's like my entire world was crashing down around me, and I couldn't breathe. I stayed up all night, going through her phone, her emails, trying to piece together how long she'd been sneaking around and what her game plan was. The more I looked, the angrier I got. I felt betrayed, humiliated, like I'd been played for a fool for years. She told me she loved me, that it was just a fling, that it didn't mean anything. Yeah, right. I didn't buy it, not for a second. The next day, I decided I needed to confront her face to face. I called her at work and told her I knew everything, the affair, the money, the house. She initially tried to deny it, acting all innocent and pretending she was the victim. "You don't understand, Jason," she said with that condescending tone she always had. "You're overreacting, it's just some stupid thing with Mark, it's not a big deal." But I wasn't buying her lies anymore. I told her I had evidence, that I knew she'd been lying, and that I wanted her to come home so we could talk. She hesitated, then finally agreed to meet. When she got home that evening, she strutted in like she owned the place. That bitchy attitude, that fake smile, it made me want to punch her. I laid out everything I knew, told her I had proof of her affair with Mark, and I demanded an explanation. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You're crazy, Jason. You're just jealous because I'm successful and you're not. Mark and I are just friends. You're imagining things." That's when I snapped. I told her I knew about the house, about the money, about her lying from day one. Her face turned red, but she kept denying, kept spinning her bullshit. I felt a mix of rage and heartbreak. How could she be so callous? How could she betray me, steal from us, then lie to my face? I wanted to scream at her, but I kept my composure. I told her she could stay if she wanted, but I wasn't going to be part of her lies anymore. I told her she'd have to leave the house, and I'd be taking control of the situation. That's when she finally broke down a little, crying and saying she was sorry, that she loved me but she couldn't help herself. Yeah, right. Sorry doesn't cut it after all the lies and betrayal. I felt numb, like I was watching my life fall apart in slow motion. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing. I kept thinking about the betrayal, about how I'd trusted her for so long. I felt stupid, naive even. How did I not see the signs? How did I not realize she was planning her escape all along? I kept replaying her words, her lies, her sneaky behavior. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I had to do something drastic. I needed to protect what was left of my dignity, my money, and my future. I couldn't let her get away with it. I started planning how I was going to fight back, how I was going to take control of the situation. That's when I first thought about revenge, but I wasn't sure how to go about it yet. I just knew I had to do something. I couldn't let her walk all over me, not after everything she'd done. The days that followed were a blur of anger, confusion, and a strange sense of clarity. I couldn't believe I'd let her manipulate me for so long. The house was silent, cold, almost like it was mourning what we once had. I spent hours poring over bank statements, legal documents, and old photos, trying to piece together just how deep her deception went. It turned out she'd been planning this for months, maybe even longer. The house, the money, her secret affair with Mark, all part of her escape plan. And she had the nerve to act innocent when I confronted her. That bitch. I knew I had to get my head straight and come up with a plan. I started talking to a lawyer, figuring out what rights I still had, what I could do about the house and the money. Turns out, transferring everything into her name without my knowledge was a legal mess, but I had some options. The house was technically in both our names, but she'd liquidated it and transferred the funds into her personal account. I was furious. I felt like I'd been robbed not just of the house, but of my trust, my marriage, everything I'd worked for. I also did some digging into Mark, her boss. Turns out, he was married too, with kids. I found out he'd been having an affair with Lisa for over a year. That was the final blow. I'd always suspected she was cheating, but knowing it was with someone even worse made my blood boil. I felt betrayed on every level. I started thinking about revenge. Not just revenge for the money, but for the years I lost, for the lies, for the way she played me. I wasn't just going to let her walk away with my house and my life. No, I needed to make her pay. I came up with a plan. It wasn't just about getting my money back or exposing her. It was about making her regret every lie, every betrayal. I decided I'd leak the truth about her affair to her friends and family, make her reputation suffer. I also wanted to find a way to reclaim the house, or at least the money she stole. I reached out to a private investigator to gather more evidence, especially about her dealings with Mark, and to see if I could find any loopholes. I wanted her to see I wasn't just going to roll over. I'd fight for everything she took from me, and I'd make sure she knew it. In the meantime, I kept my cool around her, pretending everything was normal, but inside I was boiling. Every time she tried to act like she was the victim, I felt even more justified in what I was planning. I knew I had to be smart about this. Revenge wasn't just about spite, it had to be calculated. I was determined to make her regret the day she ever crossed me. The more I thought about her sneaking around with Mark, the more I realized I'd find a way to turn her own game against her. She thought she was clever, hiding her affair, stealing our house, lying to everyone. Well, she underestimated me. I was going to make her pay, one way or another. Over the next couple of weeks, I kept my head down, but I was constantly working behind the scenes. I hired the private investigator, and he came back with some pretty revealing footage. Turns out, Lisa had been meeting Mark at a rental property she'd secretly leased under a fake name. I saw the videos, her sneaking into that place late at night, kissing him, acting like she was single. It was sickening. That was the proof I needed to really make her regret everything. I also found out she'd been funneling money into a new account, one that I didn't even know about from the house sale. She'd been planning her escape for months, maybe longer. Meanwhile, I was furious about the house. She claimed she needed the money for urgent family emergencies, but I found bank transfers into her name, her alone. I realized she'd been planning to leave me high and dry. I felt like a damn fool. The house, the money, my marriage, all gone, all manipulated out of my control. It was like waking up from a nightmare knowing I'd been played for a fool. I couldn't let her get away with it, not without a fight. I started drafting legal moves. I knew I could challenge her on the house, on the transfer of funds. I also contacted a lawyer specializing in asset recovery and divorce law. I was determined to at least get my fair share back, if not more. But I also knew I had to hit her where it hurt, her reputation. I made arrangements to leak the truth about her affair with Mark to her friends and family. I wanted everyone to see her for what she really was, a liar, a cheat, a thief. I wanted her to feel the sting of betrayal, not just from me, but from everyone she thought she had fooled. That's when I started thinking about how to execute my revenge. It wasn't just about money anymore. It was about making her understand that she couldn't just walk over me and get away with it. I wanted her to see that her actions had consequences. I planned to send the evidence to her workplace, let her boss and colleagues see what kind of person she was. I even considered going to the media with it, but I wasn't sure if I was ready for that kind of exposure. Still, I knew I had enough to make her life miserable if I wanted to. I just needed to be smart about it. The rage was boiling inside me, but I had to channel it into a plan. I was done letting her manipulate me. Now, I was going to make her regret ever crossing me. By now, I was fully committed to taking her down, but I also knew I had to be careful. Lisa was a master manipulator, and I'd learned that the hard way. I didn't want her to spin some story or turn her friends against me. So, I kept everything tight, working with my lawyer on the legal front, gathering all the evidence I could find. I also reached out to a few mutual friends who I knew wouldn't be swayed by her lies. I told them the truth, played it straight, and let the evidence speak for itself. I wanted everyone to see her for what she really was, a liar and a thief. One evening, I decided to confront Lisa again, face to face. I told her I knew everything about her affair with Mark, about the house, the money, her lies. She looked rattled for a second, then her usual bitchy smirk returned. "You're overreacting, Jason," she snapped, trying to brush it off. "You don't understand what you're talking about. I love you, and I'm sorry if you're feeling insecure." I didn't buy her bullshit anymore. I told her I was done. Done with her lies, her manipulations, her cheating. I told her I was going to take everything she stole, and I was going to make her regret ever messing with me. In that moment, I decided I was going to follow through with my plan. I wanted her to feel what I was feeling: betrayal, shame, regret. I arranged to have her fired from her job as a way to hit her where it hurt, knowing how much she valued her career. I also sent the evidence of her affair to her boss, making sure her reputation would take a hit. I wasn't just doing this out of revenge. I wanted her to understand that her actions had consequences. I wanted her to see that I was serious about fighting for what was mine, my house, my money, my dignity. The final blow came when I presented the legal case to the court. I filed for a division of assets, challenging her claim to the house and the money. I knew I might not get everything back, but I was determined to get enough to start over. I also made sure to have the evidence of her affair and her lies ready to go, knowing it would impact her reputation and her standing with her friends and family. I felt a strange mix of relief and anger, relief that I was finally taking control, anger that she had pushed me to this point. I realized I'd been a fool for trusting her so blindly, but now I was ready to fight for what was rightfully mine. I didn't want her to walk away scot-free, not after everything she'd done. This was my way of reclaiming some sense of justice in a world that felt like it had turned against me. The court date finally arrived, and I sat there, feeling like I was on trial myself. Lisa showed up, her face a mix of defiance and panic. She tried her usual tricks, acting innocent, pretending she was the victim, but I had all the evidence ready. When the judge asked about the assets, I laid it all out. Her secret house liquidation, the transfer of funds, her affair with Mark, everything. Lisa's face turned pale as I presented the proof. Her lies unraveled in front of everyone. In the end, the judge awarded me a significant portion of the house's value, enough to get back on my feet. The court also ordered her to pay back some of the money she'd stolen, and her reputation took a hit when the evidence of her affair was made public. I could see her trying to maintain her composure, but her bitchy attitude was slipping away. She knew she'd lost control. After the hearing, I felt a strange mixture of relief and exhaustion. For the first time in months, I could breathe. I realized I'd been living in a nightmare, but I'd fought my way out of it. I learned that trust is fragile, and sometimes the people closest to you can betray you the most. I also learned that revenge, when done right, can bring some sense of closure. I didn't do it just to hurt her. I did it to reclaim my dignity, my money, my life. Now I'm focusing on moving forward. I've started looking for a new place, a fresh start somewhere far away from all the pain and betrayal. I don't hate Lisa anymore, but I definitely don't trust her. She's lost that right. I know I'll never forget what happened, but I also know I'll be stronger because of it. I want to warn anyone reading this, be careful who you trust. Sometimes the person you love the most can turn out to be the one who destroys everything you hold dear. But if you fight for yourself, if you stay true to what's right, you can come out the other side battered maybe, but still standing. That's the story of how I lost everything and how I fought to get it back. It's a hard lesson, but one I won't forget. And if there's one thing I want anyone out there to take from this, it's this. Never let betrayal define you. Take control, fight for what's yours. And never let anyone make you feel small. Because in the end, you're the only one who can really fight for your future.